Now, if you own a Classic 350 or have owned a Classic 500 and are looking to upgrade to something beefier, heftier, something more powerful, well then Royal Enfield has the answer for you. This is the new Classic 650 and it is well priced at about 4 lakhs on the road for the base version. This of course is the top spec black chrome and this will cost you 4,25,000 on the road. So there is a big price difference between just the color options, but I think this is the one to go for because it looks most classic in that sense. But now before you decide to put your money down and get one, well, here are 5 positives and 3 negatives which might help you decide whether you should actually get one or not. And let's begin with the positives because that's always a great place to start. The first and the biggest positive for this motorcycle has to be its styling. It is quintessentially classic in the way it looks, and this after the fact that it has the same chassis as the Super Meteor and the Shotgun, so they've had to adapt the styling to fit that chassis, and I think they've done a fantastic job. Apart from the distance between, or the gap that you see between the rear wheel and the fender, everything else seems to fit really well on this motorcycle. The second, almost equally important reason to buy the Classic 650 has to be this engine. It's an engine that we've seen on the Bear 650 more recently, but also on the Interceptor, the Continental GT, and the Super Meteor and the Shotgun. And it's an engine that is smooth, it's tractable, it's refined, it's enjoyable, friendly. And we've taken this motorcycle out for a ride in the morning around the hills of Kannur. And it's been a really enjoyable motorcycle. It's been easy to ride. You don't have to bother as to which gear you're in because it just pulls it out nicely, even though it's a heavy motorcycle. But this engine seems to suit the character of this motorcycle even better. And of course, it's a nice sounding exhaust too, as is with any of the 650s. The only thing that we found was in the mid-range, on the mid-RPM range, you get some vibrations in the seat, but otherwise, it's a lovely engine and goes with the whole classic feel quite well. We like the seating ergos on the new Classic 650 as well. Unlike the Classic 350 or the 500, you don't sit on the motorcycle but more in it. And I think this is a more comfortable seating position. So if you're moving from the Classic 350 or the 500, there will be that difference in seating ergos, but I think you will find that this is more comfortable. It's almost like sitting on a chair. So you've got this nearly 90-degree bend for your knee. You've got some ducks in the picture, so don't mind them. They're probably also fascinated with the Classic 650. The seat itself is also comfortable and the handlebar reaches out to you, so you don't have to reach for it. You're not canted forward. And overall, the view that the rider has is also very classic-like, but just a little heftier, a little bigger, so you know you're riding something bigger. So overall, seating ergos are comfortable, are friendly, and we prefer this to what you get in the 350 or you had in the 500. We were pleasantly surprised with how the Classic 650 handles. Now, we shouldn't have been because it's based on the Shotgun, and the Shotgun is a nice handling motorcycle. But this one with the Classic, you don't really associate that. You associate nice, relaxed riding. But this one, around the hills of Kannur, on the roads, it felt a lot lighter than the way it suggests when it comes to going around corners, changing directions, quick direction changes as well. Yes, you need to lean on the handlebar a little more to get it to turn in. But once you do, it feels quite involving. You know what's happening, so you feel confident, the tires feel nice. But it is the brakes on the motorcycle that really impressed us, front and back. You can really lean on them, and it is a heavy motorcycle, so there's a lot that's demanded of the brakes. But in terms of feel, progression, bite, all of that, even the power, it's all there. So you can rely on that. You can carry a bit of braking into the corners as well. So, and there was no real fade at the end of the day. So quite impressive in terms of braking as well. The final positive for the Classic 650 has to be the desirability aspect, and it stems from the fact that everything that you look at, everything that you touch feels rich and premium, be it the switch cubes, the levers, or even the overall view of the rider's cockpit. It just feels like a premium, more expensive motorcycle. The only thing missing really is the stock seat that you get. It's more like a bobber in terms of shape, and unlike the classic 350, which actually flows with the fender and looks much nicer and it's got a hoop at the back, this one doesn't get that. But apart from that, this is one beautiful, desirable looking motorcycle. And now let's talk about the negatives of the motorcycle, and the biggest negative has to be its weight. It's 243 kg, so that's a lot of weight for you to move around. You can't feel it so much when you're riding it, but otherwise, in every other situation, if you have to move it, or if you find yourself at a place where you put your foot down and there isn't enough ground and you tend to lose balance, there is no way you're going to save this motorcycle. It's going to fall and then it's going to get scratched, and then you're not going to like it, because the whole charm of this motorcycle is how gleaming it remains. Now, it might be heavy to move around, especially if you have an incline to deal with and you're not used to exercising. But the good thing is, it is a lot easier to put on the center stand. So that's a saving grace there. Now, the second negative in our book has to be the lack of tubeless spoke wheels. It might not be a deterrent for a lot of you who are looking at buying this motorcycle, but for me, it clearly is, because I've seen that on the other 650 motorcycles. It's a pain to get the puncture done, and the puncture wala will not get involved in removing the wheel, so it's a hassle. And even if they didn't offer it as standard, they should have given it as an accessory on the website. So if you bought the bike, if you want to upgrade, you should be able to do it. The Goan Classic has it. This should have had it too. The Classic 650, much like more recent motorcycles on the 650 platform, has a firm ride, but it is nowhere near as uncomfortable as the likes of the Super Meteor, which has this tendency to slap your back over stepped or square-edged bumps. In fact, terming the Classic 650's ride as uncomfortable would be inaccurate. It is firm, yes, but acceptable. But the reason it is in the negative column is because if you look at the Classic 350 today, the ride quality on that is significantly better. It's plush, it's absorbent, and if you're used to that, and then when you move to this, you will find that disconnect, and that's the only reason why we're saying that the ride is negative. But overall, it's not uncomfortable. It's firm, but not uncomfortable. And that was the pros and cons review of the new Classic 650. We think it's a motorcycle certainly worth buying. It's well priced, it looks the part, it feels nice to ride, but with the compromises in mind. So let us know if you think it's worth buying or not in your book. And if you're wondering what jacket I'm wearing, well, this is the new Wildterra Wayne jacket. It's meant for the city use, and a lot of people have been asking us how it feels. Well, it's light and very, very usable, very lifestyleish for a motorcycle jacket.